Okay, so purpose of this activity, guys, is to review and apply some of the stuff we learned about climate last week. Okay, we went over that there are 4 components of climate. Okay, and the 4 components are wind is one. Got a lot of that component today. Light, temperature, and precipitation. Okay, those are the 4 components of climate. What we're doing in this activity is looking at which factors, okay, affect those components in various Canadian cities, and thus which factors are most common in affecting climate in Canada in general. All right, so again, those factors, okay, that we went over in class are things like latitude, altitude, proximity to mountain barriers, okay, proximity to the ocean or large bodies of water, okay, high and low pressure areas, all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do, okay, is first off, you're going to have a hypothesis that is a tentative answer to the problem. So the if part, okay, for this would probably talk about the factors you think are most important. Okay. The then part should talk about any patterns you think you're going to see. Okay, so like a simple and obvious pattern would be northerly cities will be colder. Okay, because latitude, right, is one of those factors. So, okay, the then part should talk about a few patterns you think you're going to see in Canadian cities, right, as a result of these factors affecting climate. The and part is we're looking at the climatograms and maps of Canada to determine, okay, those kinds of things. All right, so you're gonna work with a group here. Okay, it doesn't have to be a big group because I've already built the climatograms for you. Okay, so it can be a small group because you're just going to be talking over a few things and kind of grouping cities together. Okay, so using the climate graphs, and that's a separate file that you guys have access to. Okay, in Google Classroom here. Okay, if you click on the climatograms activity, there are whoops. This is for the other class, which I haven't changed yet. You guys have a PDF file that you can access. I'll show you what it looks like here. Okay, it's got all the climate graphs built already. Okay, when we have more time, I usually make you build these, but this works and it takes less time. So all the climate graphs are already built for you. Okay, you just have to look at them. Okay, and kind of determine a few things off of them. So you're going to be using that file quite a bit. Why is this not? Okay, so you're going to look at those climate graphs, okay, and each member of the group is not going to construct climate graphs because that part we've already done, okay. In an atlas, you're going to locate the cities you chose from table 1.0 as well as the 3 cities on the front, okay, and write a brief description of each area. Describe the terrain, presence of large bodies of water, and any other features of the area. So you're going to write, so like split it up. I think there's 15 or 18 cities. Okay, so split it up between your group members so everyone's doing about the same amount, and just looking at, you can use an online atlas because you've got the Chromebooks, or you can use Google Maps or Google Earth or whatever you want to use. Okay, and just look around at what kind of things are around that place. Okay, you can also find out its altitude. Just do a Google search, altitude, latitude for this city. Look them up that way. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay, and just make notes of those kind of things. What factors do you think are going to be most important for that city? Okay, then what you are going to do is part of the analysis. Okay, is you are going to group those cities together with your group. You guys can sit down and look at them and say, you know what, like I saw this city and this city have pretty similar latitudes. They're both next to the ocean. Their climate graphs look very much the same. So they should probably go in a group together. Okay, and you're going to build some groups. And I would say that for this activity, 5 groups is probably like a minimum. You should be able to group all of those cities into a minimum of 5 groups, probably a maximum of 8. All right, if you've got like 2 groups, like land and ocean, you didn't think enough. Okay, you have to come up with more groups than that. Okay, because there's obviously more factors and things like that. So the big things will be, where are they located, and do they have climate graphs that are similar? Now, when you're looking at these climate graphs, you have to realize in finding all of these, okay, that was difficult, actually finding climate graphs for every one of the cities. They're not all the same scale. Okay, so you do need to look at the scale, because sometimes you might get one that looks like, for example, Iqaluit looks a lot like Calgary, except that the scale is nowhere close to the same numbers. Okay, we've got temperature over here. The highest temperature is +6, but it looks like Calgary's around the same, except that temperature is over here and it's like 16 for the maximum. So make sure you look at the scales, not just the shape of the climate graphs. All right, and then you look at their precipitation. Obviously, Iqaluit's precipitation occurs mostly over here in late summer, early fall, whereas Calgary's is mostly June, okay, in July and August. All right, so you're looking for patterns that are similar. Okay, like for example, these two cities look a lot alike for some reason. Yeah, because yeah, they're separated by 250 kilometers. Yeah. Okay, so things to look at like that, okay? Where are they located? Do they have similar factors that are affecting them? All that. Okay, so that'll be your analysis. Making those groups, well, part of your report will be what you wrote about each city, and then part of it will be the groups and an explanation. These cities belong together for these reasons. Don't just put a group together and leave it at that. Okay, tell me why those cities belong in a group together. List the most important factors for that group. Okay, and tell me how you think they affect the climate. So you know the cities in this group all had low rainfall, or they all had very low temperatures, or whatever. Okay, explain these are the factors. This is how they affected the components for all of these cities together. Everybody follow? Okay, so you kind of have like a short paragraph after each group describing. Okay, then for question number 2, using an atlas or online atlas or whatever, okay, place the following cities in the groups you just made. So these are new cities now, okay, look at where they are. You don't have to look up a climatogram for them, just look at where they are on a map and tell me which group they belong in. Okay, which of the groups that you built do they belong in and why? Okay, everybody follow there. Yes? Probably a good way to do that would be to make question number 1 just in kind of like black font, and then question number 2, you could add those cities into the group in a different color. Okay, and then I know, okay, these are part of question 2, and then you can have a little explanation underneath that for why. Okay, then your conclusion, okay, were the factors you predicted the biggest factors? Why do you think that's true? What factors are most important for Canadian climates? Questions on what we're doing? Everybody good with that? Okay, so if we work productively, okay, we should be able to get this done maybe even today. Okay, probably not, but I mean, there's a chance of it, okay, if we work productively. Okay, have at her.